So, Andrew, I've actually been meaning to sit down and talk to you because I had some questions, man. Me being a DJ, and you used to be a DJ. Why would you ever stop being a DJ? Is the question. Why did you quit?
It's a big question with a big answer.
Hey, we're gonna start big.
I started off DJing when I was about 16.
Okay.
It was like my 16th birthday. Mom and Dad got me. You probably remember the Gemini packs. It was like the packages.
The starter packs?
Yeah, the starter packs came with two cheap turntables and a mixer. So that's how I started. That was like my 16th birthday. I did that for like a year or so. I remember I worked at Bilo on the Isle of Palms connector. I was a bag boy, cashier. I was like, I want to get some techniques.
Sure.
So I think that was like early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s. So that was probably, techniques was probably like, what, 500 a piece back then. I got those. I got me a little Vestex mixer. And I did that for a while, man. And, as a teenager,
sure.
Kid, you're not getting gigs like that. So I was doing little birthday parties. I was doing like little family cookouts.
Graduation parties.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
Little stuff like that, And I remember when I first started, like everybody wanted to be a rapper. It really wasn't cool to be a DJ back then. So like that was cool that I was kind of doing something that was different. I grew up off of turntables. I grew up of vinyl. I grew up off of, I remember Loco Records, going in there, getting a vinyl. I remember like Millennium Music and going there. And then I remember doing little gigs. The big blue Coburg milk cartons, came around, man, and we live in Charleston with that hot Charleston heat. If you don't take them records out that car after that gig, you're gonna get up in the morning and things gonna melt.
Yeah, you have to buy some new ones. You'll be right back at Loco the next day.
Right, man. So that was a fun time being real young, and then I 18 graduated, left Charleston, moved to Orlando, went to a school called Full Sail. That was really a real dope experience.
So did you go to Full Sail for DJing or for something else?
For people who don't really know about Full Sail, some people do. It was a technical school. Now it's a college now.
Sure.
It's so big. They have like digital media, graphic designs, recording arts.
When I was young, it seemed like a music engineering school more than anything to me. So was it beyond that even at that point?
It was pretty much. I mean, I knew a lot of music kids because
sure.
I was into music and my degree was recording arts. But, you had the film kids.
Mm-hmm.
You had the kids who wanted to, do the graphic designs and stuff like that. So, it was definitely something that I wanted to do because I was interested in music.
Okay.
And
is that where you got your love for film because of Full Sail?
No.
Not yet. Not
at all.
Okay, we're still in the DJ story. I like it.
We're still like the very beginning stages.
Okay.
And just to backtrack just even a little bit more, like my love for music in general came from like being a little kid. I was around music my whole life. Like I did strings when I was real young. I played the cello. I was in band, played the tuba. I did like chorus in high school. I was in advanced chorus. I should have been in show choir.
But not that you're holding grudges or anything like that still, right? I should have
been in show choir, but I couldn't read notes.
Okay.
My voice was pretty good, but she was like, you can't read notes, so like I'm going to put you in advanced choir. My grandmother, she played the organ in church. My mother, she was the youth choir director. I was in youth choir in church.
This is in your family blood.
I guess so, man. And then I got an uncle who was a big time gospel singer. He did a lot of cool, amazing things too. So I'm always around music. So go back to the Full Sail. I loved Full Sail, but I don't know if it was exactly what I should have did.
Sure.
Everybody who hears about Full Sail, the people who kind of know about Full Sail have their stories about like, oh, I heard it wasn't that great of a school, or, I heard that, it was a waste. And what I will say, we all get our own, we got to experience things for ourselves.
Sure.
We're all going to get what we get out of whatever we do. So you might do something and get one thing out of it. I might do something and get something completely different. The thing that I will say about Full Sail was when you're a young kid, especially back in those days, and you don't want to go to regular college, you know you don't want to waste your time doing that, and you love music because you're a DJ, or you love music because you're a producer or a singer or a rapper, you feel like, oh, this is a cool opportunity for me. I'm going to go to this school in Florida. And I think that's what it was, because a lot of the kids that I met were rappers, and they were DJs, and they were producers and stuff like that. And we think in our mind this is our best option, our only option to get what we want. But I don't think a lot of us understood what we were going to end up getting out of it, because Full Sail kind of prepared you to be like an engineer or a guy in the studio, guy pressing buttons, and I don't think a lot of us wanted to do that. So I will say, you know, I guess in that time, you know, it was the best option for me. And then also in Full Sail, the things I liked were, you know, we did learn a lot about different programs, different equipment, but I think I got more relationships and more information from just having friends around me, classmates, and you're like, at Full Sail, there's no dorms. It's like there's no dorms. It's not like a normal college, so you had to have apartments. Mm-hmm. So you're in class with me. Hey, come back to my apartment. We're gonna DJ together. We're gonna produce together. So I think that was real cool. I got a lot of like lifelong friendships from that. I got a lot of like super cool like stories of things that I always remember from when I went to Full Sail.
Awesome, dude. So, all right, let's continue the DJ story, because we're still, now you're in college, or at Full Sail now. You're left Full Sail. Are you still a DJ at this point, or are you moving towards video and film yet?
No.
Okay. We're still DJing.
I'm still DJing.
Okay.
I went to Full Sail, graduated, stayed in Orlando for another 3-4 years after that, and then while I was in Orlando, you know, I did college parties for like UCF. We would go to all the UCF parties. We would go to all the UCF events because those were the college kids, you know.
Like UCF actually has like a whole stack of DJs waiting to play at their parties basically down the road who are going to Full Sail, right? Like, or whatever. That's pretty crazy. Yeah. That's pretty crazy. Good. That's you taking advantage of an opportunity is what I'm hearing right now. Yeah.
So we went to all the UCF parties, and back then, I mean, nowadays it's probably not the same, but like you would go to neighborhoods, and everybody in that neighborhood was college kids. Mm-hmm. They had parties Fridays, Saturday nights. Walk right in. You know, it was like everybody was more friendly. Everything was probably a little bit more safer back then too. You know, we would go and just go to these neighborhoods, walk inside, party with all these kids. Everybody had fun. So I started meeting people. Quick story about the UCF time. That's when I really fell in love with like hip hop. A lot of people don't understand like how big Orlando hip hop is. So when I went down there, they had this thing called the Hush Show at UCF, and you would go in. There would be breakers. You know, the B-boys are out there popping and locking and breaking. You got the graffiti guys on the wall tagging. You got the DJs scratching. You got the dudes up on stage freestyling. And at the end of the night, they would always have like freestyle battles.
So you had all 5 elements of hip hop in there in one building every week. That's dope.
It was super dope, super cool. And then coming from Charleston, it was something I never saw before.
Right.
And it was something that I didn't expect, because you don't hear that about Orlando. So it was super cool, man, just having that cool hip-hop scene, meeting all these people. That also led me to do some of their, like, UCF hip-hop day party events type deals. Did a couple clubs downtown Orlando. But I will say this about, like, looking back, I don't know if I was ever really supposed to be a DJ. Now looking back at, like, everything I've done, everything I've gone through, I don't know if I was ever supposed to be really a DJ, because even when I was, well, I guess club DJ, party DJ.
Sure.
I definitely don't feel like I was probably supposed to do that, because that slowly turned into me becoming a mixtape DJ.
Sure.
Because I was at Full Sail, meeting all these kids who rapped. You know, I'm at going to this UCF events, meeting kids who could rap, and then I'm like, you know, the DJing thing, I love it. Doing parties is fun, but like I always was the type of person who wanted to do something a little different, or stand out, or see what I could do to be like, I'm not doing what everybody else is doing. So then I was like, man, like I know all these cool people, you know, they have talent. Let me start putting some mixtapes together. And at first, you know, I didn't know what I was doing. You know, I started doing industry tapes at first just because I love the concept of the mixtape. And then I was like, nah, I don't want to do that. These people are already famous. They already got a name for themselves. I know all these cool people.
If you have these connections, why not use them?
Right. I know all these cool people from Full Sail. I know all these cool people from UCF. Let me start connecting with some of them. So then the mixtape scene, the mixtape DJ grew. And I got such a love for that. And that was so cool and so exciting for me. I'm walking through the mall, selling CDs, going to Super Walmart, some like standing outside of gas stations. So it got me to the point that like I got really, really, really comfortable talking to people, which is a talent in itself, because I feel like a lot of people, they don't know how to just randomly talk to people. They don't know how to get on stage and talk to people. You know, a lot of people are like kind of shy or kind of just like to themselves, and they don't really want to be in that light of like, let me just go and talk to somebody. So I got that out of doing mixtapes, which was such a great thing for me now that I look back on it. And another big thing that I loved about doing mixtapes was, in that era, early 2000s, there was no real big like internet presence when it came to like artists from different areas. It's like, if you lived in South Carolina, you knew about those South Carolina artists. If you lived in, what you from, Rhode Island?
Rhode Island, right.
You knew about those guys.
Sure.
If you lived in New York, you knew about those guys. So that also kind of helped me sell CDs, because college town, meeting all these college kids, spring breaks in Daytona Beach.
Right.
Daytona Beach was only a good 45 minutes, an hour away from Orlando. I'm going down there, like, these kids are from all over.
And who knows
like,
where they're from, right.
Right. So they're like, oh, this is so cool. Like, I've never heard of these people before. I'm going to take this back with me to my hometown. So that was really cool, man. And then I started falling in love with it so much that, like, it took over. And I was like, I would DJ parties and clubs here and there, but I was like, I don't know if I really love this as much as I love the mixtapes.
Sure.
And then, you know, it gave me to the point where it was like, I was building a name for myself, and that was super cool and super fun to me, being that guy where it's like, oh yeah, I got your mixtapes, and I'll just randomly go up to like gas stations or something. I'll pull up somebody's listening to my CD, and I'm like, okay, like yeah, I think I want to do this, instead of like.
I'm starting to see something here, and it's kind of digging or going into why your chosen profession in film is where it is. It seems like you're the behind the scenes superstar is where you wanted to be, is where there are other artists who maybe want to showcase what they have, but you're the guy that really knows how to get it out there for them.
A little bit. That has something to do with it. If you know me, I'm also the person who I want to see other people win.
Sure.
Like, that's super important to me. Man.
Sure.
Like, I'm the guy who has the friends or the people that I'm associated with, and I'm like, yo, you got so much talent. Like, I want to see you win. So, like, helping people, creating with them was always big to me. So that's why I was like, man, let me put these mixtapes together and let me help showcase your talent, because I see how great you are, and I want to see how I can help you. And that was
it all makes sense.
Big, super important to me. And then another layer, man. There's a lot of layers. I started filming DVDs.
Sure. Oh man.
And I don't know if you heard about the Smack era, the Smack DVD era. So mine were kind of like a play off of that. Like, it was the rappers and all the people that I was starting to meet. It would be like, okay, let me start putting, you know, I got the mixtapes. Let me start putting some of these things on the DVD so people can see them visually. So it would be like people freestyling. It might be some people in their neighborhoods, you know, just hanging out, and you know, it'd be people performing and doing different things of like, let me showcase who you are.
Were you behind the camera at this point?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's starting. It's starting.
It's starting.
It's starting. Okay.
It's slowly starting. I started doing those, and then I slowly started getting to the point where I was like, not to say that I wanted to be like a superstar, like interviewer, host, or anything like that, but I'm like, maybe I need to be in front of the camera a little bit. So I started doing some stuff where I'm in front of the camera instead of me just filming you.
Sure.
Like I'm sitting down talking to you, or we're going through your neighborhoods and you're telling me how you grew up, and
Sure.
you're telling me about like where you came from, and we're in the studios together and we're doing different things where like I'm there. And then things started to grow and grow and grow. But we got to back up again, because after I left, I keep forgetting because there's so many different things I did. After I left Full Sail, left Orlando, my aunt, she's a journalist. She traveled all over the world and did all these great things, and she's in DC, and she was like, yeah, you know, I want you to come live with me. And she was working at Howard University at the time.
Okay.
And she was connected with everybody. So they had like a lot of things that she was connected to with radio, that she knew everybody with radio. And I also think now, looking back at it, I wasn't like stagnant, or I wasn't like wasting my time. But like when you have like expectations for your kids and stuff like that, and then your parents are like, yo, like we spent all this money for you to go to school. I think my mom was like talking to my aunt, and she's like, yeah,
trying
like,
to push a little bit.
Yeah, like let him go live with you in DC.
Mm-hmm.
She had a big house, so I was like, okay, I guess I will. I was there for like less than a year. I never really wanted to do radio. I met cool people when I went down to Howard and around DC, but I was like, nah, this ain't for me. Then I started to get real lonely because I didn't know anybody.
Sure.
And I didn't give myself enough time to meet a lot of people. I was just in my mind like, nah.
And not maybe not in the right mindset at that time either.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
I was still like so Florida, so like, but I was like, I'll give it a try.
Being young is different, man. 2020, it's crazy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looking back at the DC, that was a very small piece of my life, but it happened. Left DC, went to Atlanta. A friend of mine, we went to high school together. He was also my roommate when we went to Full Sail. He, after Full Sail, he left, went on and did some other things, and then we met back up and started living together in Atlanta. He was rapping, doing his music thing, so I was like, let me go try to help him out a little bit. I was his quote-unquote manager. You know, I wasn't getting paid for it, but, you know, I was helping him get shows, and I was helping him meet DJs and network and give him studio time and setting things up for him. And then Atlanta is a big market for like networking, as far as like you got to go and shake hands with these guys.
Sure.
You got to you probably, it's not as big down here in Charleston as like playing like up and coming music, but like you got to go to these clubs, you got to buy these DJs drinks, and you got to pay, here's a little $20, here's a little $50, play my music for me. So I was doing stuff like that for him. And then, you know, we slowly went our separate ways, and I came back to Charleston.
So then you've been doing this, it sounds like, since VHS and cassettes and DVDs, and now moving into this digital era now. So what do you think sets you apart from other videographers out there? Is it that you have this background being a DJ, you can bring some of these experience to it? Is it that just, you know, you've moved from here to there, you've seen a lot of things, you've been on all sides of the camera? What makes it different for you?
There's so many different things that I feel like makes me a little bit different. Because once you have the talent as a videographer or whatever you're doing, it's pretty much an even playing field. You know, like once you have the talent, and, you know, you have to have, you know, equipment and stuff like that. But once you have, like, those things, I always think, like, the small things make you rise to the top. Those small things make you stand out or get the gig over the other person.
Absolutely.
And I think, like, being a DJ, like I said, I don't think I was ever supposed to be a DJ. But I think it was super important to make me who I am today, because I took so many pieces of that part of my life to where I am now. Like I was saying, walking through these malls, talking to complete strangers, that gave me a level of confidence, talking to people.
I mean, that's how we met. We were complete strangers until you came up to me and handed me your promotional DJ Sunfire sticker. So it takes a lot of confidence to do that to people. Absolutely.
Yeah. So talking to people, like a lot of people, like I said, they don't do that. I was also, they don't have street, there's a lot of, like, I'm from old school, man. Like, I'm like out the mud. So out the mud, man. Like street teams, like putting up stickers, passing out flyers, putting stuff on car windshields. Like I did all of that.
Mm-hmm.
So like, of course you got the social media, you have like the word of mouth, you have your actual work. But I'm gonna be the guy who's gonna walk up to you. I'm gonna give you a business card. I'm gonna give you a flyer. I'm gonna put something in your hand.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna see a sticker. Being real like resilient. And just having like that little bit of a chip on your shoulder, and then just having like that dog in you that like there is no plan B. Like this shit might take a long time, but like I'm not gonna stop. You're not gonna make me stop.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna keep going no matter what. Like this is gonna happen. Like I think I want so much more than a lot of people.
What are some of the small things that like you think have helped you now in the video portion of it now? Like what do you when you approach a video gig, what are some of the small things that you're doing, or what are some of the big things that you're doing when you approach a video project? It's a range of things in that question. I get it, but I feel like you're coming at video projects with a different eye now than other people. You know what I'm saying? I feel like, not only the chip on your shoulder, but having been on multiple sides of the camera, having been a host, having, been a DJ, been in front of people, having been behind the scenes, really, how do you approach a project?
It's different, of course, depending on what the gig is. But over the years, I've tried to be really prepared as far as what is the end result gonna kind of be. A little bit, you can't ever really say exactly until you get everything and you go into post. But like now, like I try to form in my mind a little bit about like how am I gonna put this together? What am I trying to portray? What's the story gonna be? So I feel like that helps me out a little bit more too, because when you starting off, you don't know what you're doing. You're just going out there, you're picking up the camera, and you just trying to see what happens. And then when you get into post, you just sit there and you try to put something together. But I think about the story as far as like what do I want this to be, and then like I said before, like I want to see people win. I want to try to help people. I want to try to promote people and their talents as much as possible. So I want to go in there trying to be like, how can I make these people look in the best light that I could possibly? So those are a couple little things. I mean, a couple bigger things.
What do you love either of them more? Like, do you love videography and filming more than you love DJing? Do you miss DJing? Where are we at with the relationship with the two forms of art right now?
Well, before we even say that, I gotta even say how like I kind of stopped DJing.
We don't
even really talk about that because the story's so long. So I was doing the mixtapes, I was doing the DVDs, and then I got to the point where I have a good friend. He does poetry, Joey Tucker.
Shout out homie, Tucker. Mr. Enlightenment.
Shout out Joey Tucker, man. We've been friends forever. And there'd be moments where he'd be like, "Yo, let's put something together." So I was like, "Okay, let me film this for him." And then it got to the point that I'm like, "Okay, this is kind of cool. Like, I'm starting to create stuff." And then I started doing stuff for him. And then I was like, "Okay, like this is a whole nother world that like I can step into." And then I was filming a lot of bands, and I was still music related. Then I started filming like little promo things for people. And then I'm like, I'm making money off of this. This is super fun, super cool. I'm being creative. And then it just took me into a whole nother world of like me being like DJing. I never wanted to be a big club DJ.
Sure.
And the mixtape world started to slow down. The internet started to get bigger. You know, you had like all these streaming sites popping up. People weren't buying mixtapes like how they used to. I'm like, what's the future? Like, what's the future gonna be? So I'm like, let me see what I can do with this film stuff.
Adaptation is important.
Yeah,
It really is.
yeah, and I think like a lot of people, we want to do things, and then it gets to the level of what we want it to, we have the level of where we want it to be, and we don't reach it, so we kind of give up and we kind of stop. I've said this before, that like kind of like a little thing I like to say is everybody wants to be Michael Jordan, but nobody wants to be Michael Jordan's personal trainer. Which means to me is everybody, when they think of what they want to do, they want to be in that limelight, they want to be at the forefront. And then if they don't get there, they quit, they stop.
Right.
But like, that doesn't mean you have to stop. Or maybe that was never for you. Maybe you were never supposed to be Michael Jordan. Maybe you were never supposed to be in the NBA. Maybe you were supposed to be Michael Jordan's personal trainer. You know, that guy has a wonderful career. You know, he's still doing what he loves to do. He's making money off of it. And he's still, you know, he never quit. He just kind of switched up a little bit. And that's why I'm like, I don't think I was ever supposed to be a DJ. But like, my love for music is still super big. It never went away. Like, I still want to like add more elements of music related things to film, which like I have a lot of goals, a lot of ideas which will come. But I don't necessarily mix DJing because I don't want to sound like the old head, but I come from the mud, man. I come from the vinyl. I come from the learning how to scratch, learning the beats per minute, learning how to, you know, you put that tape on the vinyl and you put that tape right there so you know when to scratch and all of these things where like a lot of kids don't know how to do that. Which is I don't want to sound like the old head, you know, because time brings on change. Technology is always gonna change things. That was another reason why I kind of slowed down and stopped, because I don't know, I'm big on talent, man. Like I'm really big on like, what did you do to get here kind of person. And I don't want to say that like DJs nowadays don't have talent. They do. A lot of them do, but a lot of them don't. And then now, like I'm just so invested in film and creating and seeing how much bigger I can become. Like the stuff I'm doing right now, like I'm very strategic. Like the stuff I'm doing right now, it's small right now compared to the things that I'm gonna do, but I'm preparing myself for that, and I've invested so much time, so much money into this. Like there is no stopping. It's just keep going until I get to this next level, get to this next accomplishment, to the next goals. And DJing, no, I love music, but wanting to DJ, I don't see it. I don't see it happening.
Is there an ultimate goal in film, or is it just hit one of those goals that you've kind of, you know, set for yourself and just make another goal, make another goal, make another goal? Or is there an ultimate top?
Ultimate goal.
Yeah.
No. Like when I first started, like I said, man, I'm big on talent, getting it out the mud. Like I taught myself how to film. I went to school for music.
Right.
I used to be a DJ. Like I didn't know anything about filming except for let me pick this camera up and press record. Like I didn't know anything about ISOs and shutter speeds and different lenses.
But what you did know is that you had art in your soul, though.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's where the commonality lies between the two, I think.
Yeah.
You know? So there's I didn't mean to interrupt you there, but I think you actually did have more in common with the two than you probably realized at the time, because there are a lot of DJs who have other artistic abilities, right? And I think that is just because it lays in our soul, and I think you had that without realizing it.
Maybe deep down inside I did. But like I said, I didn't know any of these things.
Sure.
So, like I said, man, like I'm real big on being positive and just like trying to you know, everybody's gonna end up doing what they want to do at the end of the day. But like, you know, try. You know, like you got these dreams, you got these goals. Like go after them. So like that's all I did was try, and things started to work out for me. And when I started filming, I didn't have any things that I was like, I definitely want to do this. I definitely want to do that. Like I was like, man, I'm just trying to try and see what happens, man. Like I got on Facebook and I messaged hundreds of people every day. Like, do you need a videographer? I'll work with your budget. Like, what can I do for you? So it started to slowly happen. So the goals, like, they keep going, getting bigger and bigger. And what I did realize is being able to come in with a blind eye, no expectations of being a videographer. Like I know some people, they only want to do weddings.
Sure.
There's some people who they only want to do commercials,
sure,
or they only want to do music videos. I came in with like, okay, I'm just going to do it and see what happens. I learned that it's like, okay, like now I'm kind of pinpointing in on exactly what I want to do. Like, you know, like I'm big on like the bigger gigs now. You know, work smarter, not harder. You know, we got to get our foot in the door. You know, when you starting off, man, you gotta. I need everything, man. Like I gotta eat, man. I need everything on the plate. So it's like you're taking every gig possible. You gotta feed your family. You're trying to get in the door. You're trying to build your portfolio. So you do it all, and then
just like when you were being a club DJ, you're doing this until you figured out where your lane was.
Right. So now it's like, okay, let me get the bigger gigs where it's like if I want to do something smaller, it'll be on my time, my accord to be like, okay, I want to do this. So like weddings, I enjoy doing those, which they're so crazy and so hectic. Doing stuff like corporate events, doing stuff for like companies where it's like I'm getting paid off of the company's money, not based off of how much money you're pulling out of your own pocket. You know, I like doing stuff like that. I have a lot of ideas as far as like I've never really been big into wanting like doing movies, but like I've always had a love in my mind for wanting to do like little scripts, little TV shows, little documentaries. So those are bigger goals that I want to do. Ownership, and then just getting to the point where it's like I don't necessarily want to have a big team, but maybe like a couple people. I can pick and choose what I want to do, and then also like if there is like some smaller stuff that's like I still want this money, you know, I'll give you the majority of the money, but you know I'll take a little piece of it, you know, stuff like that. And I'm just looking far as the future as like being able to get these bigger gigs, getting to be able to do the things that I want to do creatively, that I could be with my family.
Sure.
I don't have to work so hard. And I feel like a lot of times with creatives, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine recently, like with the video world or with like the music world, like we start to get to a level of comfort because we're doing what we love to do. So like we don't look at it as we're working hard. So it's like when I first started, I was doing like 5-6 gigs a week. You know, there's smaller gigs, you know, little bit here and there. You know, I was definitely taking care of what I need to take care of, but like I was working hard, and it's like it's cool. I'm doing what I love to do. I'm not clocking in, but like, do I really want to do 4 or 5 gigs a week? Or do I want to do like 1 or 2 a week and then have more time for my family, have more time to relax, have more time to come up with other cool ideas that I want to put
Absolutely.
together. Yeah, so like there's a lot of goals, man, a lot of things that I want to do, but I feel like as I reach them, more things are going to pop up.
Every time.
Yeah, and then I also want to be like home based. Like I've moved around so much, and like I want Charleston to, like I'm not going anywhere, but I still want to get those out of town gigs because I love to travel.
Sure.
That's another big thing I want to do too. Like I'll go out of town and do stuff, but I want to do memorials. Like I want to be able to be like, okay, wife, daughter, like I'm getting paid to go do this. Y'all come with me, and they're paying for the hotel. They're paying for us to get down there. And like I'm gonna go get paid. We're gonna go to a different cool little city, and y'all gonna come with me. Like that's super fun and cool. That I think that like bring the family with you, and they don't have to come all the time. But like you know, just being able to travel and get paid to travel.
It's pretty dope. Can't lie. It's a good feeling You're gonna get there too, because your goals are just, they're aligned where, and your mentality is where it needs to be, I think. And everything that you're saying with what your past is and what your development is and what you've learned from, everything you've taken from being a DJ, and then you're I don't know if you're realizing it or not, but a lot of these stories are now kind of intertwining into your film thing, and you can see it growing. So you're just in the right path, man. It's dope. It's great to see, big dog. It's great to see.
I appreciate you. I know you're a busy man, and we all got things we're trying to accomplish. We're all trying to get done. And, this is something I wanted to do for a while. And, just sitting down with you, super cool, super dope, man. I look up to you, man. Like, you're definitely, like, somebody that, like, I highly respect, man. I told you that multiple times before. And, that's super, super cool, man, that, like, a lot of people don't know my story, man. Like, people know bits and pieces. Like, they might have known me, like, when I was a kid, 16, DJing and my mom and dad's, like, little downstairs. And you might know me from, like, my college days, or you might have known me from my mixtape days. And then,
but it's all separated because it seems like you've been in different areas during every single stage of your life, Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And a lot of people don't know in Charleston that I was a real DJ. Like, which sometimes, like, it used to bother me. Like, somebody asked me one time, he was like, yo, do you know how to DJ? Like, do you really know how to DJ? It kind of rubbed me wrong way a little bit, but, like, I get it. I understand, because you didn't see that.
Right.
But no, man. But it was definitely, like, I feel like I said before, it was a big part of who I am to become where I am now. And like I said, man, a lot of people don't realize in hindsight that they might be doing something that they're not necessarily supposed to be doing, but it helps them for what they really are supposed to be doing.
Absolutely factual, dog. Absolutely. It's those little things, those building blocks, and you were creating those building blocks, and you're still creating but they're just bigger blocks.